I'm extremely happy and feel very privileged to be launching Dasra's report on backlash. This report is made possible because of contributions, very insightful contributions by 73 NGOs that work on ground with adolescents and youth from various states in India. It's their insightful comments and responses to the survey that has helped us to co-create this report. And I'm very proud to say that these 73 organizations are a very live components of a community of practice that Dasra has on adolescent girls. So thank you all the 73 organizations. The report is available on your apps, so please feel free to download the report for further details. And without much ado, I'll get into the presentation. So I'm here only to provide some highlights of the findings from our report on backlash. The entire panel is on backlash, but this is just a little bit of snippets. So as I said earlier, we realize that many a times when adolescent programming takes place, there are various kinds of reactions. An earlier panelist, Sarah Pilot, mentioned some of the reactions that NGOs themselves face, girls themselves face when they try and exercise their agency, right? So Dasra and community of practice members felt the need to understand what this phenomena was. So we decided to take on this survey and this pilot study to understand what are the various, to understand the adverse consequences or understand what backlash is. What is backlash when girls exercise agency? What happens? We wanted to understand about ways of overcoming backlash and wanted to document ways and means with which various organizations and programs deal with backlash themselves. When it happens, what do you do? So this is our effort at trying to document a few of those things. As you see, for the sake of this report, we have defined backlash. You can look at the definition. But in very simple terms, we understand backlash as a reaction, mostly negative reaction, by those who hold position of power against those who are trying to attempt to challenge status quo. In this case, you can call this status quo as gender norms or any traditional norms that keeps girls and young people at a lower position. We realized that there are many reasons that can trigger backlash. Some that we found, there are many, but we picked up the most prominent ones, is girls wanting to remain in school until late adolescent, delaying age in marriage, selecting one's own life partner, wanting to access livelihood options and wanting to access better economic opportunities, simply wanting to express their opinion freely, and demanding equal rights to even socialize with the opposite sex. And the range of backlash reactions that this report documents, there's a wide range. It is as subtle as denying a girl to go to a school to very violent forms of backlash, of being kept hungry, forced seclusion, and being forced into a marriage which was not a girl's choice. How did we go about this? So in short, when we began trying to document this phenomena, we went to literature, and we quickly realized that there's not much in secondary literature that has already looked at adolescent programming and experiences of adolescent and young people and their experiences of backlash. A little bit of literature does exist in the realm of women's economic empowerment and what happens when an adult woman starts earning money and what are the reactions that she faces at home. Therefore, we decided to conduct this study as a pilot study. It being a pilot study, and because there is no precedent of evidence of backlash, we do not know the extent of backlash, we do not know the prevalence of backlash, we decided not to go to girls directly and talk to them, because since it's the first time, we did not know what to expect. Instead, we decided to go with youth-serving organizations and through whom we documented their own experiences of backlash while they implement their programs on ground, right? Programs that are meant to institute agency empowerment in girls and young people, and through them understand and document the various instances that they have heard of, experienced, or they have dealt with while implementing this program. So a big caveat here being that this report does not, any percentages that I show you are not representative of the experiences that girls actually face on the ground. So quickly, our findings suggest that over 85% of the organizations that responded, they were all aware of at least one incidence of backlash that girls faced. The three most common forms of backlash that emerged are denial of entitlements, punishment for developing friendships with boys, and actual experience of violence ranging from denial of food to forced exclusion for defying traditional norms. Right? Quickly, 61, that is 84% of organizations were familiar at least with one incident in which a girl experienced a backlash in the way of denial of entitlements. More details about the sample, about the organization is in the report. Then another form of backlash was punishment for developing friendship with boys. This was significant because the qualitative data also suggested that the fear associated with loss of family honor and the shame associated with it was really the driver of this. It's not always that the girl had an actual romantic link-up, but also the mere suspicion or a rumor of she having one triggered backlash. And then there were obvious forms of backlash in terms of violence. More than half of responding organizations reported familiarity with an incident where a girl was denied food or was beaten because she refused to marry against her will, or she wanted to access better livelihood options for herself, or wanted to have a career. Quickly, we also talked to organizations themselves. What was your experience? And this is what we found. Organizations, altogether 66% of responding organizations reported backlash that they experienced while implementing program. Three of the most common forms that they reported were forced exclusion of sensitive topics from program curricula. Most of these topics were to deal with gender training. They were to deal with sexual and reproductive health issues. Then there was refusal of entry, threats, verbal abuse, and physical violence. You might have heard an incident that Sarah mentioned earlier. And we live in a virtual world almost now. So backlash is not always obvious in your face, but also media reports that tarnish backlash. As I said, where is this? Okay. So this is a compilation of, these are not our recommendations, but a compilation of various strategies that organizations have been using. The report has more detailed explanation for these, so I encourage you all to look at the report. Thank you very much. We hope just to highlight that this is an important issue we need to document and that needs to be researched further. Thank you.